Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, for 1 year as we read through St. Faustina's diary. Join me, Amy Thomas, each day for a short reading out of the diary which brought us a deeper understanding of Christ's divine mercy. Hello, Catholic pilgrims. Welcome to day 129 of our readings from St. Faustina's diary. Today we are going to talk about the thought of eternity and what that means. And, I often wonder what that is going to be like. And it gives me great joy knowing that we get to go there, hopefully get to go there. But, a lot of people don't believe in eternity. And that's extremely sad to me. So that is what is on my mind for today. So we'll be reading from Notebook 2, numbers 574 through 579. Christmas Eve, 1935. From early morning, my spirit was immersed in God. His presence pervaded my whole being. In the evening before supper, I went to the chapel for a minute to share the wafer at the feet of Jesus with those who are far away and whom Jesus loves greatly and to whom I owe so much. Just as I was spiritually sharing the wafer with a certain person, probably Father Sapotsko, I heard these words within me. His heart is for me, a heaven on earth. When I was leaving the chapel, in an instant, God's omnipotence enveloped me. I understood how greatly God loves us. Oh, if people could at least partly comprehend and understand this. Christmas Day. Midnight Mass. During Holy Mass, I again saw the little infant Jesus, extremely beautiful, joyfully stretching out his little arms to me. After Holy Communion, I heard the words, I am always in your heart, not only when you receive me in Holy Communion, but always. I spent these holy days in great joy. O Holy Trinity, eternal God, my spirit is drowned in your beauty. The ages are as nothing in your sight. You are always the same. Oh, how great is your majesty. Jesus, why do you conceal your majesty? Why have you left your heavenly throne and dwelt among us? The Lord answered me, my daughter, love has brought me here, and love keeps me here. My daughter, if you knew what great merit and reward is earned by one act of pure love for me, you would die of joy. I am saying this that you may constantly unite yourself with me through love, for this is the goal of the life of your soul. This act is an act of the will. Know that a pure soul is humble. When you lower and empty yourself before my majesty, I then pursue you with my graces and make use of my omnipotence to exalt you. Once when my confessor told me to say, Glory be to the Father, as my penance, it took me a very long time. And I began many times, but did not finish, because my spirit became united with God and I could not stick to the prayer. Quite frequently, I am unwittingly enveloped by God's omnipotence and become entirely plunged in Him through love, and then I do not know what is going on around me. When I told my confessor that this short prayer often takes very much of my time and that sometimes I cannot even finish it, he told me to say it right away there at the confessional. However, my spirit became immersed in God, and in spite of my efforts, I could not think as I wished. And so the confessor said, Please repeat after me. I repeated every word, but while I was pronouncing each word, my spirit would be steeped in the person I was naming. On one occasion, Jesus told me, concerning a certain priest, probably Father Sapotsko, that these present years would be the adornment of his priestly life. The days of suffering always seem long, but they too will pass, though they pass so slowly that it seems they are moving backwards. However, their end is near, and then will come endless and inconceivable joy, eternity. Who can understand this one word which comes from you, O incomprehensible God? This one word, eternity. I know that the graces given me by God are often met exclusively for certain souls. Awareness of this fills me with great joy. I always rejoice at the good of other souls as if it were my own. I love this one line of Christ where he's speaking to her. Well, I love all that he says to her, but I particularly love this one line where he says, I am saying this that you may constantly unite yourself with me through love, for this is the goal of the life of your soul. If you ever wonder what your life is, supposed to be about, or what your goal is, or what your mission is, it's that, to unite yourself to Christ in love. And if you do that, then you will do amazing things through him. But reading that, I was just, it's so good. I just really, really liked that, and it gave me a lot of encouragement. But what I said I wanted to talk about was eternity. So many, many years ago, I was talking to an atheist online, and they were talking about how they didn't believe in eternity. Basically, you lived your life, and at the end, that was it, snuffed out, just like, blowing out a candle. You returned to dust and just became a part of the cosmic dust of the world. And that was it. That was all. And there was no need to think about what was, past your life once you died. They didn't believe in anything after death whatsoever. And when they were saying this, there was just a utter sadness. And I don't know, it was just very depressing. They seemed depressed when they said that. And everything that they looked at was looked at through a lens of just chemical processes. The only reason you love is because in your brain there's chemical processes and it needs you to fall in love in order to reproduce, to keep the species going. And the only reason you love your kids is because there's a chemical bond that, one makes you want to protect your kids so that the species continues on. And as I was listening to this, I was like, golly, man, this is the most depressing thing I've ever heard. I mean, I hope you don't tell your kids, hey, mommy only loves you because I have chemicals in my brain that cause me to bond to you so that I can keep our species alive, okay? I mean, geez whiz. It's just utterly depressing, but when all you do is live in the material world, I guess that's what you come up with. But this denies the supernatural world that all of us live in. And we live in both. We have the supernatural that goes on around us that oftentimes we can't see, but we can sense that it's there. And the material world. Our bodies live in the material world, our souls in that supernatural realm. And denying eternity, denying the supernatural is to just deny your soul, which means you're just denying yourself, because your soul is truly who you are. That's what God created when he thought of you. It's what makes you who you are. Your body is, what you are. I'm a human, and your soul is who you are. And just to deny that, is it any wonder that we're kind of confused about a lot of things in our world? And so with this person, I said, there are things in our lives as humans that are very abstract, like love. Love is kind of abstract, and thoughts and ideas. We can't see our ideas, our dreams, our thoughts that we're having, but they're there. We know they're there. And so just because I can't see them and you can't see my thoughts doesn't mean that they're not real. And so we have to acknowledge that there are things that are real that we cannot see. And they didn't really say much to that, but I just tried really hard to encourage them to think about what eternity might look like, or heaven, or even hell. But they wanted no part of it because they thought it was just, a bunch of nonsense. But from that kind of worldview, you can see why there's a lot of anxiety in our world, because as more and more people turn from God, and that belief goes away of eternity and of God and of the supernatural, and all there is this one life, and that's it. If it gets snuffed out early, then, sorry, there's nothing else. That would tend to cause a lot of anxiety, I would think, and a lot of depression. And there would be this definite either focus completely and totally on pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. Do whatever you want that makes you happy, because when it's over, it's over. And there can be this tendency to want to absolutely preserve your life until you've lived 100 years old and you've done all the things and there's nothing left to do and your body has just given out on you. and now it's okay to go. And that's just, both of those ways of living are a little depressing, because one, we know that the pleasure thing, yeah, temporary pleasures are good as long as they are good in and of themselves, but they aren't truly satisfying. And so you will spend your whole life running around trying to fill that need that nothing on earth can fill. And that's really sad. And then the other way is the bitterness that will set in if people that you love are taken, too soon according to your timeline, and you think, that's just it. You'll never have a possibility of seeing them again or rejoicing with them in heaven. The bitterness that would set in has got to be overwhelming. And so reading Sister Faustina's words today about eternity, when she says, however, the end is near, and then will come endless and inconceivable joy, which is eternity. And that's the other thing. She's talking about suffering, and all of us suffer in this earthly life. We all do, because, after the fall, that's just what comes with it. And so, if you're somebody who doesn't believe in eternity, and you've maybe had a lot of suffering in your life, but you don't believe in life after this at all, where, there will be joy and glory and goodness, gosh, man, that would be rough. I can see why a lot of people end up taking their lives, because why suffer through useless suffering, really? And gosh, it's just a sad way to live. But we know as Christians, we have that hope. And that's why people who truly live out their Christian faith and truly strive to, follow Christ, there is that joy, that radiance, that holiness, that they know that even if they're suffering now, greater things are to come. And this is not the end. We will be in heaven. We will be with God, who is just love itself. All goodness, all beauty will be there. Those that we hold dear, hopefully will be there. And so, we don't feel like we have to get every second down to the wire of 100+ years in order to feel like we've maximized our time here. And we don't have to focus so much on pleasure, comfort, because when we get to heaven, it will be the ultimate pleasure. And just exceedingly wonderful. And so, there is that hope that lives in Christians who really live out their faith. And that is so beautiful. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you're just pie in the sky. This is wishful thinking. But no, it's not, because Christ was real. He is really God, and he doesn't lie to us. And so we can trust in his words that one day, if we follow him and live our lives for him, we will get to be with him in eternity. And that is wonderful news. So that is all for today, Catholic Pilgrims. I will see you back here for day 130. And until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.